So you're ready to pop the big question, but are you really ready? And no, I don't mean have you gone through premarital counseling or talked to her dad yet or made sure that you've got good Spotify compatibility.
Wait. Spotify compatibility?
I mean, come on. If you don't like the same music, if the vibes aren't vibing.
Actually, I can see it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important. But I mean, are you actually ready to make the biggest purchase of your life? And I know some might disagree, right? But I think that it is because of the commitment that it represents, right? What it really resembles. So philosophy talks aside, we want to talk to you through some key steps that you'll want to make sure to plan for to make sure that you are ready to go ring shopping.
Yes, I am not the ideal woman for this conversation. I'm just going to own this on the front end. So the ring I am wearing, I bought off of one of those places you can sell gold to.
Yeah.
I know someone that owns one of those.
Okay.
And he was about to send some off and it cost me $300. So I am not a big jewelry person, but I'm going to try really hard. I do know a lot about it. I just don't have a big heart for it. So when we were doing the whole ring shopping thing, I have a ring that my mom gave me that's like gone through my family. And I was like, can we just get that sized? And it currently has a tine that's broken. Is why I had to find another ring because it's a weird stone. But this is, I know it's something guys agonize over from what I understand.
And I'm sorry, laughing because she says that she's not a big jewelry person, but I just saw her haul in this huge thing of jewelry.
There's like cheap jewelry and then there's fancy. My mom had ridiculous numbers of fancy jewelry. So like diamonds and like fancy stones, gold, platinum, things like that. I'm a costume.
I don't know if I would say that
because I have a costume. They talk about having like a beer budget with a champagne taste. I have a costume jewelry budget, so that's the kind of jewelry I buy. But I do know my husband, when it came time to buy the ring, he agonized over the decision. And I wasn't actually involved in it, which is something we're going to talk about here.
No.
But I wasn't involved in the decision, but he was insecure about it. So he took me to the store and was like, hey, I'm not going to ask anytime soon. But if you were picking your ring, which one would you pick? Okay. So here's the challenge with doing that, though. I wanted to make sure it was cost effective, so he'd buy one. Not going to lie. So I actually ended up picking out the same ring.
Okay.
But a lot smaller because I wanted to make sure he could afford it. I'm just going to be honest. So he ended up doing really well.
Same ring?
Well, so I've been remarried. I should clarify. This was my first husband.
Okay.
So I picked out the ring he had chosen.
Yeah.
But he had chosen it in a larger carat size, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he did good. My second one is the one where I usually wear my mom's ring.
Okay.
But yeah, so there are some really important conversations, though, to have before you even go ring shopping. Because as we've talked about, marriage is a huge decision. And you want it to be for your lifetime. And we found that in the statistics we've read, many people are avoiding financial conversations. And when you consider that most divorces cite financial incompatibility as a reason, it is important to talk about.
It's very, very important to talk about. And so some of the topics that we would definitely encourage you to make sure to have those conversations about are things, such as, life insurance, budgeting skills, right? Savings.
Or lack thereof.
Yes.
Debt.
I would say
that's
probably one of the biggest ones. You don't want to get strapped down and with a bunch of debt, as you're going into your marriage.
I will say, so my first marriage, I had $1,200 from a credit card because back when I was in college, back in the olden days when people were, anyway, you got T-shirts when you applied for the card. They had T-shirts. I literally only applied for the T-shirt. But then I was a broke college student and I had a credit card and I had not really been taught financial responsibility growing up. So I didn't really go crazy with it because I was raised very frugal. But I did have like $1,200 in debt. And so I committed to him, like, as soon as I finished college, I was like, hey, this is getting paid off in the next 6 months because I didn't want to carry that. Now, a lot of people now are getting out of college or getting into adulthood with a lot more debt because of student loans and other things like that. We understand that. We're not saying don't marry someone just because they have debt. What we're saying is have the conversation about it so that you're prepared and you're not getting blindsided.
Yeah. So was it like a big trend for people in college to have like
Listen.
like Visa shirts or like MasterCard?
Okay, listen. Everybody gave you t-shirts for everything, and it all had UCA on it. So they were smart. Like they made them into UCA shirts, not just Discover Card shirts.
Okay.
And so that's where it was like, hey, in a lot of places we didn't have internet purchasing like we do now. So if I was calling somewhere to order something, I would use it instead, but then I'd forget.
No.
So if you forget about it, when the bill comes, it's like, oh, I can pay the minimum because I was living off of like $300 a month. So
yeah,
it was a little rough. But then another one too is ring expectations. Because like me, for instance, I'm not one of those people that would need a large ring, but there are some that like more involved jewelry. And my brother just recently was looking at some things and I was like, woo, don't ask me. Don't ask me for advice on that because that looks way too much for me. But there are a lot of ladies out there who would want something that's more involved. Yeah. So better to plan ahead for that than to pop the question and her be like, it's okay.
Yeah. Obviously, I would say if you're in a relationship with the right person, then that would
the ring probably
never
won't
be
really
the
matter.
Response. Hopefully.
Yeah. I hope.
Yeah, I really hope that.
Might be a good thing to watch for if that is happening, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this ties in to, again, the financial conversations to have, what are ring expectations, what are the preferences, right? And a very good experience to be able to figure that out is kind of that ring shopping experience, right? So what I've done, which is basically kind of in line just with how I typically budget, is I've had a savings account that I've been putting money into, for that specific reason. So
That's
I already
awesome.
know, okay, like how much I can afford. And so basically whenever you go into that ring shopping experience, it's more about, okay, let's look at the different options and let's look at, kind of like you said, what are the preferences like for her?
Well, and I think long before people pop the question, they usually know who that person is that they want to marry them.
Right.
So it could be just a fun night out where you're like, listen, we both know we're heading in that direction. And I just kind of want to know what you like. Let's go have a date night and just go try on a bunch of rings and see what ring size she is. Remember to put it in your phone so you don't forget. And to also get an idea of what her preferences are, because people are getting very creative these days.
Sure.
So it's important to understand what she likes. Because, I mean, if you're going to spend that much money, you want her to like it.
No. And, from kind of the research that I did and what I looked at, I mean, like you said, it can be a really great experience. You get to take, fun pictures, hopefully it's a very memorable experience. So, it'll be, pictures that you can hang up at some point. And like you said, just a very memorable date experience. And you get to, kind of take your time and really figure out what she likes because there's so many different variables. And again, like it just keeps getting more, the variety just keeps growing and growing.
Yes.
So,
and once you understand kind of what price range her preferences fall in, then you can really amp up that savings if you need to with a target in mind.
Right.
I think anytime you have a goal that has a very definite target, it helps a ton.
Absolutely. So basically what we want to also help answer is, how much should you spend on the ring, right? I think that's at the top of most guys' list here is, okay, how much should I spend? I kind of, in conversations about this, I have found out that, a lot of guys really kind of struggle with this question of, okay, like,
is it offensive if I don't spend enough?
Right. And
if it's what she likes, who cares?
Yeah.
But that anytime you put should in front of spend, for me, I'm like, I don't feel like there's ever a true number. Now, many do believe that 3 months worth of your salary is what you should spend.
Yeah. Guys, it is a myth.
That's a myth.
It is a total myth. Don't believe that.
Depends on your salary, I guess.
Yeah.
But I mean, the average price in all reality, based on what we researched, is about $5,000. Mine was way less than that.
Yeah.
I think mine, all included with even the where they clean it for you regularly and maintain it, was $1,000.
Nice.
And it was 1 carat, so it wasn't tiny.
Yeah.
But I think averages are always going to include large ranges. But if you're spending if you plan for about 5,000, you probably will be in about the right boat. And then we get into the variables.
That's it.
And these all affect the price.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. So as I was kind of doing my research, I found out about the 4 C's, which if you've ever gone through this experience, you already know what this is about. But essentially, this is when you're looking into a diamond ring, right? And the 4 C's are cut, carat, color, and clarity.
And this actually applies to other stones too. It's not the exact same, but the carat weight, even if it's not a diamond, there are carat weights assigned to other things too sometimes. The trend that I find really interesting is a lot of people choosing to include other stones. So my niece wanted a different stone than a diamond as her centered stone. And I thought that was really beautiful. I've heard of a lot of people using opal or other stones instead altogether of diamonds. So, it can be very personalized. But yes, so the cut is like the shape. And you can have anything from an oval to a diamond to
you can even I think I even saw that there's like a heart-shaped diamond.
Yes, it can be just about any cut you want. And some cuts require a clearer stone to look good, so they're going to be more expensive. I know emerald cut is one of the more expensive ones.
There's also like a princess cut, right? Okay. Yeah.
So all of those will affect it. The carat is the size. So that's how large the main stone is. And then also there's usually going to be some sort of stones around it, possibly. So the total size, weight of all of those. And then color.
Right. So some diamonds, I guess,
that's crazy,
are like a little yellowish.
Yes. So diamonds can actually be black. They can be white. They can be clear. They didn't used to be this way, but there's a lot of different options for the color too, which is part of what's gone into that creativity of what these look like now. The quality of the metal. So you can have 10 karat gold, 14 karat gold, 24 karat gold. Little tip out there for you. The more pure the gold, the more it can shift. So be cautious about that. But you can also have platinum. You can have titanium. So the metal also affects the price of the ring.
You sound kind of like a
That's
jewelry
what I'm saying.
snob
When
here.
I was looking at this, I was like, I know a lot about this stuff, even though it's not something that really
I'm over here
interests me.
needing to read through the notes and be like, okay, that's what this is.
Yes. And then something that I think is really cool that has started happening is you can have lab grown, I love the word grown, it's really lab created diamonds, which are becoming more popular than the natural because there has been a lot of chaos behind how diamonds are sourced. In the last 20 years, we've become very aware of some challenges there. So you can now choose to have a diamond that was created in a lab to avoid that if that's really important to you.
Yeah, and I think that's something that would be important to me, hopefully to my significant other as well. But yeah, making sure that it's sourced responsibly is a huge deal for me, and I know for a lot of my generation as well. So, and that also affects price, and luckily in a good way, because typically it's more expensive to have a natural diamond, and if you're taking a natural 2 carat diamond, versus let's say a lab grown 2 carat diamond, there's going to be a pretty good price difference between the two, right? So if that's something that you're interested in, as far as making sure that it's sourced responsibly, that you prefer to have a lab grown diamond, then that's actually going to help your budget.
But the bottom line is, don't go out of your way just to impress people. This ring needs to be as unique as you and your bride, and it needs to match your values and your preferences, without including a bunch of other people in the decision, in my opinion.
Right. And there's so many factors that influence the price that you are sure to find something that is within your budget.
So when it comes to engagement, the most important thing is the person you're making this life choice with. So just don't let others get in the way. Enjoy this process. Enjoy finding the right fit for you. And enjoy also the financial responsibility that comes with planning through it first.
No. Yeah, and again, we talk a lot about this. We've, I think, encountered this multiple times in meeting rooms. How financial matters can be at the heart of a lot of conflict, within relationships. So the last thing that you want to do is go into debt in going into the marriage, right?
Kind of starting out from behind, really.
Yeah, because there's already, so many other stressors that are going to be in place. Having to plan a wedding is already, from what I understand, a big, big stressor.
And we did a whole episode on that. So if you're also planning your wedding, go check it out too.
No. No. So, that's definitely not something else that you want to pile on top of that. So, making good financial decisions is always going to benefit your relationships, not just, for your better half or your spouse, but all relationships, because it'll be less stress on you. So we hope that that helps in your journey as you get ready to pop the question. Thank you so much for joining us today on Talking Sense, and tune in next week to learn what you don't know about money.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Sense podcast. And if you like what you hear, make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get all the newest episodes.
The GenWealth team is available to you 24/7 at info@getreadyforthefuture.com, or call our offices at 866-653-PLAN. That's 866-653-7526.
And while we like to have fun here, we're also financial advisors, and that means disclosures. You should personally consult a financial advisor before making any investment, and no strategy can assure success.
GenWealth Financial Advisors is an Arkansas registered investment advisor with securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA SIPC.